11 p.m. on the East Coast. We're back on the air, and we have news. There will be young children in the White House for the first time since the Kennedy generation.
Barack Obama, in our view, President-elect of the United States of America.
Barack Obama is projected to be the next president of the United States of America.
Barack Obama, 47 years old, will become the president-elect of the United States.
This is a profoundly important passage out of the deep shadows of our racist past that began with that first slave offloaded on a ship.
But whenever a kid said, I want to be president, I literally saw black parents say, son or daughter, you may think it needs something else. I have 9 nieces and 4 nephews. And when I talk to them, I can actually say that and mean it. Bingo. That's right.
There will be setbacks and false starts. There are many who won't agree with every decision or policy I make as president. And we know the government can't solve every problem. But I will always be honest with you about the challenges we face. I will listen to you, especially when we disagree. Out of many, we are one, that while we breathe, we hope. And where we are met with cynicism and doubt, and those who tell us that we can't, we will respond with that timeless creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we can. Thank you. God bless you. And may God bless the United States of America.
President Barack Obama regularly referred to his home state of Hawaii as a big, harmonious community, where he was born and spent his boyhood and adolescence. In fact, his Hawaiian background is, in many ways, a key to understanding who he really is. There are other important parts of Obama's past that also provide insight into his values and his modus operandi. But Obama says the aloha spirit remains his personal and political inspiration. He stated that, I do think that the multicultural nature of Hawaii helped teach me how to appreciate and navigate different cultures out of necessity. Obama's friends and associates say his upbringing in Hawaii is much closer to the experience of everyday middle-class America. Even though he stood out, Obama seemed to fit in happily with his peers. Teachers and friends from that era say he was affable and good-natured and never showed the inner turmoil that he wrote about in his memoir, Dreams from My Father. He was born in Hawaii on August 4th, 1961, to a Kenyan father, Barack Hussein Obama, for whom he is named, and Dunham, a Caucasian woman from Kansas. They met while students at the University of Hawaii. The couple eventually divorced and his mother remarried. The family moved to Jakarta for a while. Then they moved back to Hawaii with Barack and his half-sister. In this insider-exclusive network TV special, Obama Hawaiian Africana Museum, our news team is on location in Honolulu, meeting with Deloris Guttman, the museum director, and her colleagues who will share its history, its purpose, and how you can help them achieve their goals. Their mission is teaching Hawaii's school children in pre-K to 12th grade about diversity and the history of people of African descent in Hawaii, and to establish a permanent home for their museum. Deloris served on the committee that in 2014 submitted a proposal for a Barack Obama Presidential Library in Honolulu, and is now seeking a permanent home for her nonprofit museum, originally founded as the African American Diversity Cultural Center, Hawaii, in 1997. For a possible permanent site, they are looking at places where Obama lived. This is the Insider Exclusive, live from Honolulu, Hawaii. It is my great pleasure to introduce today the director of the museum, Deloris Guttman, and the chairman of the board, Ashton Kutcher. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Deloris, tell us a little bit about the museum. What is its goals, please?
The goal for the Obama Hawaiian Africana Museum is first to acquire a facility so that we can showcase our 200 years of history in the Hawaiian Islands. And Obama, since he is the most recent well-known individual, it will give us more visibility.
And Ashton, you've been associated with the organization for, you said, I think 16 years?
Yeah, at least 16 years.
Recently, about a year ago, you became chairman of the board. What is your function here?
Well, my function is basically to ensure that we have the appropriate, I'm going to say, structure and milestone set so that we can actually accomplish the goals that, Deloris has, I'm going to say, created a vision for.
And sitting next to me is Frances Haramoto, Miss Hawaii.
Nice to meet you.
And you have been involved with this organization in what capacity?
Well, I started getting involved with the organization last year. I actually met at the MLK function, and I met Miss Deloris, and of course she gave me a little history lesson, and from there the rest is history. I volunteered with the Obama birthday walk last year, and I hope to be getting more involved and galvanizing interest.
Okay, now the Obama walk, was that the first time they had an Obama walk here?
No, I don't believe so. It was the first of its kind in terms of it was the first virtual walk. So that was really interesting to be able to host a virtual walk like that.
So people donate, right, for the walk, right? Are you having another one this year? Or?
We just had one in August.
How did that do?
Apparently it did really well. I wasn't involved with that one this year, but I will be next year. So hopefully it will be the same where it's not totally virtual, that we'll be able to actually get outside and walk with the whole group.
Now, basically your organization, correct me if I'm wrong, Deloris, is trying to raise enough funding to purchase the original home of Barack Obama, right?
Yes, one of them, because his family moved around, so the one that we're focusing on right now is the one that he lived at when he was 3 years old with his grandparent and mother.
That's the one that's kind of like a craftsman's house, isn't it? Right? The one that sold last year for 1.2
Oh,
million.
yes. This year, 2021, it was sold.
Right, and it sold for, I think, $1.2 million?
1.7.
1.7. And how much money do you have to raise to purchase this house?
Well, in order to make him a deal and to negotiate, because he purchased the house and he's renovating it right now, we want to raise $3 million in order to make an offer that we thought would be appropriate. We do not want him to donate it because he's a young man going to a family. He and his wife. He's a doctor who is a dermatologist. And I've spoken with him several times already in terms of it. And when he purchased the facility from a church, he knew that it was Obama's childhood home.
Okay, so it's basically under renovation right now.
Right now it's under renovation.
Okay, so exactly, and you're familiar with what the organization needs. What do you need to accomplish this goal?
Well, we're going to need support from the community. We're going to need support from the businesses in the community. And what we really need is exposure as well. There's so much history regarding, African American history or the Black diaspora in Hawaii. And the fact that we have the 44th President, Barack Obama, being born in Hawaii. I think exposure and ensuring that there's a place in history, that shares that is incredibly important. So exposure, we definitely want people to know Hawaii is a special place.
You had mentioned, Doris, I think you sent an email that said you need 70,000 people to donate $44 in the next 12 months.
Yes, we would like, that's the goal for the next 12 months. The sooner the better. We are using Barack Obama's approach of raising funds when he ran for president. Everybody donated what they could, $5, $10, $15. And we thought with the $44 is a symbol of the first person of African descent to become president of the United States. And this is the way we're staging it. And so we hope that it will be promoted on a larger scale and also being staged different ways to get people engaged.
So it's going to be a museum that people, the public, can go into. And what are you going to have in the house?
Well, we hope to. I think that our backdrop that we have here in the people on those images and the history about these individuals will be in there dating back 200 years here in Hawaii.
Ashton, how do you engage with the community right now?
Well, actually, I'm fortunate enough where I work with a college, and in that college we focus on healthcare. So I'm very, very much engaged from that perspective, through my work with the college.
Okay, meaning exactly what?
Well, it's Hawaii Medical College. The founder, president and CEO. We've been around for about 14 years, and one of the things that I think is incredibly important is for people to understand that there are people of, I'm going to say, African descent, that are doing well, that have done well, that continue to engage in the community, not just historically, but presently as well. And because, actually, as Francis shared a little earlier, Deloris is this encyclopedia of African history in Hawaii in particular. And ever since then, I've always wanted to kind of help expose that history and to be a positive symbol in the community.
The African American community now, are they receptive and supportive of your organization?
The ones that we come in contact with us, since we do not have a community out here, we see each other during Martin Luther King weekend, and that's where we engage at there through the NAACP here in Hawaii. And most of them, they're coming from different places. They're professional African American or people of African descent, and also military. And the generals I've been working with and the admirals at the military bases, they have adopted this organization to kind of share this story back to World War II.
I read someplace, I thought, that you also were involved with teaching young kids about the history of African Americans.
I have been, personally, I've been involved in that for the last 8 years.
Where do you teach them?
Well, we teach them about how the blacks that were on the British ships and the American ships came to Hawaii, and how the missionaries engaged the local people, the Hawaiian people, and how these two cultures are came together. And
do you have a place where you teach them, like at a school?
Yes, I have a place. I go to school every Wednesday.
A local school?
Local middle school.
Oh, really?
Yes, which they invited us in to share our story. And it had morphed into 4 other schools. And now we're doing more classroom work in social studies to broaden that picture and engage the student in Hawaiian history and Africana history.
Okay, and you are a 501(c) nonprofit.
Daniel Inouye, before he, in 98, he is the one that expedited the 501(c) in 3 months. Senator Daniel Inouye. He expedited that.
So how can people, you have a website?
So we got a QR code there, which they can donate and take it right to the donation place, and they can donate $44 and become Obama ambassadors to educate their friends about what we are trying to do to save and preserve the place where the 44th U.S. president was born and raised.
So what do you want the audience to know more about your organization and how they can help and why they should help?
Well, first of all, we want people to know that we've been in Hawaii for over 200 years. They were on the British ship and American ships, and they're integrated with the people that were here years ago and married these people. And the brown people you see today are all part of people of African descent. But I want people to know out there that we do not have a community here in Hawaii like we have on the mainland, but we are assimilated within the community. So we are not as visible as you see here. But we want people to know that we have made this island and shaped it from this foundation up since the overthrow. And before they came, we worked on the plantation. We brought people in from Atlanta and Tennessee and through Puerto Rico, and they assimilated also here. So we kind of got erased a little bit by intermarriage. And in Hawaii, we celebrate our diversity, unlike on the mainland. But we want people to know now that we need to stage the history in this organization that our Hawaiian Africana Museum is now taking on that effort to anchor the history in the islands because of the Barack Obama being born and raised here. That is a must for our future generation. It is not for us, it is for the future generation, so they will have a map in order to be in power, because they will be the legislatures and the mayors and the governors all over the world. And in Hawaii, we can tell that story because we're out here in the middle of the ocean. So we're compassionate about that because we get along. And that doesn't mean that we have differences the same as on the mainland, but it's shaped differently here. And that's why you produced the 44th U.S. president, who could really, handle the world in a calm way.
Okay. Ashton, do you have regular, like, mailing campaigns or emails or something going out to local businesses?
That's actually something that we're beginning now in terms of beginning some of these mailing campaigns and fundraising campaigns.
To name some of these businesses like ambassadors of this museum, correct?
For example, there are businesses already supporting us. As I said, more recently, the Hawaiian Airlines and the United Airlines. And we have Enterprise Car Rental has now been with us for a number of years as I supported us financially through their foundation. And they chose us, we didn't choose them. And people are very supportive of our work. It's just that we don't get as much exposure as we need for the contributions that we have made to help shape the island. From the first, Betsy Stockton came out in 1823. She set up the first public school on Maui for Hawaii. And we have Charles Cottrell was the first tax collector. Taft sent him out in 1911. And we have all these anchors. And then Thomas McCant Stewart defended Queen Liliuokalani and the Chinese via the Exclusionary Act in 1882. So we are anchored in the islands. It's just that our history is kind of played down or stepped over. We say hidden or not acknowledged. And that could be also with assimilation.
What has the mayor of Honolulu or the governor of Hawaii, have you approached them about having some days set aside to promote this museum or the African American?
Yeah, I think that we're getting the city council have always been supportive of our organization since 2007.
What have they done? What have they done to be supportive?
Well, they have also invited us to their multicultural events that they've had with the governors when they have their day in the community, with bringing the community in. The state government, we have also worked with the governor on the governor's level from different governors that have been involved there at the Capitol, and we tell the military story at the state Capitol. We do an exhibit there on the West Lock to kind of share with that story. That story is still under the radar because it happened here in Hawaii under martial law. And the older people do not like talking about that at all. They won't talk about World War II in that sense. Even though Honolulu, the internment camp for the Japanese, is right here on the island, which is down the street, not too far from us.
Okay, in wrapping up, this effort that you have with this museum, because it's the only one that I can see that really kind of honors the 44th president, right? And his birthplace. What do you think, Francis, can be done more to make sure that everybody knows that Barack Obama grew up, this was a very instrumental part of his life, grew up here, and what the state of Hawaii should do? You as Miss Hawaii, by the way.
Definitely. Well, thank you. I think 3 things would go a long way, and that's number 1, teaming with other community organizations. The $44 donation would be great, but we also want small and large donations depending on what someone is able to do, right? Not just the $44, but if you could do more, great. If you can't contribute 40, then 5 would also be really helpful. And I think just getting out there on social media, being really involved on our different platforms, not just with Facebook, but YouTube and TikTok and everywhere that young people are, and just galvanizing them, because we also want people on Hawaii, but also on the mainland to know, yes, we have a smaller Black community, right? But we're very powerful when we can come together. And I think utilizing the museum in this way is a great way to kind of bring all of those organizations and individuals together as a hub to really move forward with one mission, which is to recognize Black history on the island of Hawaii and Oahu and all of the islands, and what we've contributed over the years. So I think that would be my main focus, is kind of bringing them together under one umbrella, which is the museum. And having a house for the museum is very important. So I think that's why this fundraising effort is paramount, to be able to get a property that people can visit from all over the world, so that they don't have to come to our very small yet humble office that is filled with so much history. So I think that's really important.
Ashton, she brought up a very good point about social media, right? Has this organization contacted Obama supporters? Have they contacted the former president to get his support, or recommendation, or letter of recommendation? I think that would go a long way, don't you?
Absolutely. We're working on it. It's an incredibly challenging thing to do. One of the things that I think is important for us to make clear is, yes, there is the Presidential Library in Chicago. However, our focus is on his childhood home.
Yeah.
Our focus is on his youth.
Is he aware of this museum?
Yes, he is aware.
He is.
Has he written some sort of recommendation? I think that would be something I'd be doing right away.
That would be great, and that's something we're working on accomplishing. Absolutely.
I want to thank all of you for the effort, because it's, you're doing this free to promote this and make sure it becomes a place where everybody recognizes his childhood, right? As well as the history of the African American contribution to the state of Hawaii.
Thank you for inviting us. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. You can get more information about our guest and the issues at insiderexclusive.com.